What's your approach to investing? Do you have a strategy when it comes to things like crypto or any other investments? I mean, of course I have a strategy, and of course I've got an approach. In 2020, real estate really is a fool's game. You got to ask yourself, you have to look at the real numbers. You have to look at the real unemployment rate. You have to look at the real inflation rate. You have to look at the actual GDP of all the countries. And you have to ask yourself, why is the stock market going up? You have to ask yourself, why are real estate prices higher than they've ever been before? They're being artificially inflated by various different means. And, at least in the UK, in the 31st of March, that's when the furlough scheme ends. That's when the stamp duty scheme ends. And that's when sort of I don't know what the official name for the eviction sort of ban is. That's when that ends. And when that ends, and I believe that'll actually end at that time, they won't kick the can down the road anymore. Look, there's going to be blood on the streets. And that's why I keep telling you guys, look, you need to know what's going on in the world, because this is the biggest wealth transfer in history. And you think there was tons of opportunity in 2018, 2019. In 2020 and 2021, there's more opportunity than there's ever been before. And it sucks because there are so many people who are hurt. And I think this is why I get so livid and I get so upset about people who are having their liberties and they're having their livelihood taken away from them, and they can't see it. They're standing up for the people that are taking all of this away from them. And I almost feel bad because I almost feel bad. And every single person who I've seen win in 2020 is trying to shout to everyone else, wake up. You guys are the ones that are getting absolutely right now. And we're winning. And we're succeeding through these times, and we want to help all of you guys. We want to show you what's going on. And I've put myself in the firing line so many times to try to wake people up, and they just can't see it. And I've kind of come to peace with that, and I've kind of come to terms with that some people just won't see what is being planted and what is going on and what happened in 2020 and what's going to continue to happen in 2021. Look, the rich are going to get richer and the poor are going to get poorer, and that was already a massive, massive issue. And I am not in favor of that at all, but it's painful for me to see, because it seems like the rich know what are going on and are actively trying to tell other people, how are you having your liberty, your livelihood, your resources, everything taken away from you, and you're gladly giving it away. So that's basically my macro lens. And really, I believe that this all has to do with what lens you see from the world. My lens could be entirely wrong, and that's one thing I'll sort of submit to is, I could be so wrong about everything that's going on in the world. And, I might hold my hands up in, 4 years from now and go, look, I was wrong. And, there's stuff that I'm learning every single day. And guys, I'm human, I'm learning. There's things that I looked at or opinions that I held in 2020 that quite clearly I now know were wrong. And, I think time is the biggest teller of all truths. I've said that many, many a time. But sort of where I'm standing right now from a macro perspective, real estate is not a smart game, which breaks my heart, by the way. Like growing up, my idea was always to be a real estate mogul. Like that's always been the end game for me, is to be a real estate mogul, or not really the end game, but it was always, this is when you're going to reach the level of security that you've always wanted. And it breaks my heart that, that's not the case. So now looking at 2020/2021, real estate is not appealing to me, or as it is right now, just going into 2021. The stock market is not appealing to me right now. Really, the only things that are appealing to me are gold and silver as sort of a defensive play. And by the way, I think silver will go up 5 or 10x in the next 12 to 24 months. So I guess it's not really a defensive play, but gold and silver are a defensive play, and then cryptocurrency are an offensive play. So I'm very, very bullish on things like gold, silver. We're talking 2020 January right now. And cryptocurrencies, I'm heavily invested in cryptocurrencies, and then other things like watches, for a lot of people. And the reason that, things like watches, fine wines, vintage cars are going up is because a lot of wealthy people, such as myself, who I have always had $1 million in cash reserve. Between personal or business, I've always had $1 million in cash reserve as a safety net. Now looking at it, and look, I know with inflation, some people could say that's a stupid idea or this and that, but I have $100K a month in expenses between my businesses. So I've always thought that was a smart play. Now with everything that went on in 2020 and 2021, cash really is trash, and cash is trash. And I'm looking, as I said, I'm looking at kind of the options in front of me. I'm looking at gold, silver, and cryptocurrencies. I know for a fact that by 2021 or the end of 2021, real estate will be a tantalizing opportunity. And I'm going to capitalize on that opportunity when the time comes. But right now, I think if you invest in real estate, you're foolish because you don't understand how things are getting artificially propped up. I think if you invest in the stock market right now, you are being foolish. And you need to look at what's going on from a macro perspective and understand why things are being priced the way that they're being priced. So yeah, without kind of going any further into it, because I'm a little too drunk to give you my full perspective, or to give you a more in-depth perspective than that, from a macro perspective, that's kind of how I view things.